Hey everyone, Naked Shred here. In today's video I will be going over intervals. I'm going to be giving you guys a run through of each interval, why some of them are called differently than others. Now what intervals mean is basically the distance between two notes. So say if I were to start on G and then run up to a whole step, which is A, that is called a major second. Now if I want to do a major third, I just go from G up to B. So I'm going to start each interval on the note G. That way it is consistently going up through all the intervals. So unison on G, just the same notes. Now the minor second, which would be a half step. There's your major second. G to A sharp is your minor third. Alright, and then G to B is your major third. Alright. But then if you go to G and C, that is called a perfect fourth. The reason why it is called a perfect fourth is because there is no dissonance in between those two notes. This one's called a tritone. Alright, now the perfect fifth, which is also known as like a power chord, going from G to D sharp is a minor sixth. Alright, and then G to E is a major sixth. That is your minor seventh. There's your major seventh, and then the last interval is a octave. Alright, so I'm going to run through it again a little bit more quickly. G to G, unison, G to G sharp is a minor second. G to A, major second. G to A sharp is a minor third. Major third, perfect fourth. And the reason why it's called a perfect fourth is because there is no dissonance in between the two notes. Tritone, perfect fifth. There is your minor sixth, major sixth, minor seventh, major seventh, and there is your octave. Alright, now let's jump into some of the song references for each of the intervals that you guys can associate each of the intervals to. Now I'll be going both ascending and descending. What I mean by that is, let's say go from, right, you're ascending to the major second. But if you were to go to, that is a descending major second. So I will be giving you guys some interval references, so it would make it a little bit easier for you guys to remember each of the intervals. So the first interval we're going to be talking about is Unison, and the song we're going to reference for that is Sure Shot by Interval. The chorus in Sure Shot goes something like, right there is your unison interval. Starts out like, right, so that is a unison between those two notes. Right, so some of you guys probably heard of it. That could be your reference point for a unison, or you could just think of the unison as the same notes. Moving on to the next one, we're going to be talking about the minor second. Now the song I like to think of when I think of the minor second is the Jar theme song. To be like, that is a ascending minor second because you're going from, because you're just going up. A great reference to a minor second descending is from another movie theme song, and this one is from Jurassic Park. You're descending the minor second. Now the great reference point for an ascending major second is to use the Happy Birthday song as your reference. So you go from, Now, another great descending major second reference you guys can use is 8 Days a Week by the Beatles. The first line in it just goes. Now the minor third is going to be super easy for a lot of you guys to remember because you can probably associate this with one of the very first songs you learn on the guitar, which is Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. So the distance between D and F is a minor third. So you got a minor third, and then your major second. Descending minor second. Alright. You can also use Iron Man by Black Sabbath as your reference for a ascending minor third. Now, let's move on to a descending minor third. The reference I like to use for a descending minor third is the classic, ding dong doorbell. Goes like. That is your descending minor third. Another great one is Hey Jude by the Beatles, which is pretty much the very first interval he sing. Hey Jude. Alright, now on to the major third. A great reference for that is the intro bass riff to Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. Now here comes the bass. So you can hear it go from C sharp up to E sharp. That is a great reference for hearing an ascending major third. Now a descending major third, you can probably use the nursery rhyme called Shoe Fly Don't Bother Me. It goes something like. Right, so the first interval going from. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the perfect fourth. And again, the reason why it's called a perfect fourth is because there is no dissonance in between the two notes. So a great reference point for an ascending perfect fourth is Here Comes the Bride. You can also use that as your reference for a perfect fifth as well. And another great example of that is Amazing Grace. The open G and D are your perfect fourth. Now let's talk about a descending perfect fourth. A great example for a descending perfect fourth is Under Pressure by Queen. Which you're just playing G and D. Right? And another great one is Today by Smashing Pumpkins. Let's move on to tritone. It goes something like. If your first note is on a G and then you go to C sharp, that is your tritone. Kind of gives it a little bit of an ugly sound to it when you play it harmonically. Right, so. I only have one example for an ascending tritone, and that is Don't Drive Drunk by Stevie Wonder. Now descending, the only one example I can think of for that is Even Flow by Pearl Jam. Kind of bend it up. But yeah, that is a great example for a descending tritone. So now the perfect fifth, we can use One by Metallica as a reference for a perfect fifth. Another funny reference point I like to use is All Star by Smash Mouth. So you can hear the perfect fifth in the first interval. Alright, now moving on to minor sixth. A great example of an ascending minor sixth is Slow Dancing in the Burning Room by John Mayer. Right there is your minor sixth. Another great reference to hearing the ascending minor sixth, the Lonely Man theme from the Incredible Hulk TV show back in the 70s. So it kind of plays something like so you can hear that ascending minor sixth right there. So that is from the Lonely Man theme from the TV series of the Incredible Hulk at around 14 seconds in. So you can hear the that is your ascending minor sixth. So the only example I can think of for a descending minor sixth is Fight for Fighting by 100 Years. It's going to be in the vocal line. We can hear him sing. And it's right around the 14 or 15 second mark, you'll be able to hear him sing the so right there you can hear another great example I like to use to remember the minor sixth is Chord in Rope by the Foo Fighters, which happens right after the chorus. It goes something like that is your minor sixth. Now we're moving on to major sixth. A great example of a major sixth interval is Dashing Through the Snow. Something like that. So the first interval of Dashing Through the Snow is major sixth. So here's another great example of a major sixth, and that is Hush Little Baby, which is a lullaby. It goes something like so the first interval is an ascending major sixth. Right, so an example for a descending major sixth, you can use a song Down by the Riverside by Louis Armstrong. It happened right between lay and down in the first line. I'm gonna lay down. So you can hear him go. So it's a pretty big jump, and it's like lay down. Alright, so that is the only example I can find on a descending major sixth. Now let's move on to the minor seventh. The Star Trek theme song. So you hear it. So that is an ascending minor seventh. Alright, now let's talk about an example of a descending minor seventh. Now the song that I'm about to play is called Lady Jane by the Rolling Stones. There's a part in the chorus where you sing like I'll play it for you real quick. So you can hear it. Now let's talk about the major seventh interval, which is what? Right? So a great example for hearing the major seventh is Take On Me by A-ha. Like, you can hear Take On Me. You can hear the interval of a major seventh. That's a great example for that. Another great example, the guitar riff in Popular by Native Surf. So yeah, you guys can hear it which is the very first interval of the guitar riff. You'll hear the major 7th. Right, so that is an example of an ascending major 7th. As far as descending major 7th goes, I don't really have any example for it. But if you guys got an idea, be sure to leave them down in the comments below. Now we're on to our last interval, and that is called an octave. A great example for an octave interval is Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. The guitar riff goes like, octave is the very first interval, so you're... So there is your example of an octave interval. So yeah, that is all of the examples and references for all of the intervals. So yeah, I'm going to wrap up the video right there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and also subscribe if you are new. I'll see you guys in the next video.